I am Joseph McGee, as everyone should know by now. I am in my Father's house. I guess you can see I am affiliated with the ACU, or the UCA, excuse me. I'm reading it not like it should. It's Unitarian Christian Alliance. Yeah, I am. I'm in the Unitarian Christian Alliance, but I am in Christ, and I am in my Father's house. And my Father's house is where disciples learn to be disciples. You've got to learn to be a disciple. You don't become a disciple without teaching. It doesn't happen. And most people today have been taught, and they are far from being disciples of Jesus. They are not Jesus' disciples. They're disciples, but they're not Jesus' disciples. I'm looking here, and it's my Father's house. Teach one to be one. Disciples of Jesus get to know God. Did you know that? Disciples of Jesus get to know God as Father. That's what they do. And they obey the teachings or the teaching. Disciples obey the teachings of the teacher. And I am the overseer at my Father's house. So therefore, I am the teacher here. Now, there can be more teachers here, but they won't have more authority in this house than I do. It won't happen. I wouldn't expect to have any authority at your house. You know what I mean? Anyway, in Matthew chapter 5, Jesus opened his mouth and began to teach about the kingdom of heaven and inheriting the earth. That's what he did. Jesus opened his mouth and began to teach about what? The kingdom of heaven and the earth. Jesus said, "Blessed are them that hunger and thirst for righteousness." I don't find a lot of people hungering and thirsting for righteousness today. I just don't. They're not hungering and thirsting for righteousness. And in Matthew chapter 6, Jesus told the disciples how to live and to get something from our Father in heaven. He told them why and how to pray. Have you learned why and how to pray? Have you? If you haven't, you certainly are not a disciple of Jesus. You may be somebody's disciple, but you haven't been discipled like you should be if you don't know God and know how to pray and why you pray. Jesus told them why they must forgive. Did you know that? Did you know why forgiving is important? It was very important in Jesus' teaching concerning our Father in heaven. In chapter 7, Jesus taught the disciples about the eye. Were you aware of that? A disciple of Jesus should be aware of the eye. You have two eyes. God made us that way. If you have a log in your eye, don't try to remove a speck in mine, please. That won't work. Since I do not have anything in my eye is clear. I don't have a log or a speck. According to Jesus, I would be able to remove a log or a speck out of your eye. According to Jesus. Don't be a hypocrite. No, whatever, you don't want to be a hypocrite. Don't give what is holy to dogs. And this is not meaning a bow wow or a dog that you get at the pound. Do your research. Find out who were the dogs in Jesus' day. It wasn't the Jew. It wasn't those who were circumcised. Jesus said, enter by the narrow gate. The narrow gate. Enter by the narrow gate. Disciples must beware of false prophets, wolves in sheep's clothing. Good trees produce good fruit. That's what Jesus said. He also said bad trees produce bad fruit. Do you know what happens to the bad fruit trees according to Jesus? If you will read chapter 7, you will see very clearly what Jesus said. Disciples of Jesus, don't forget these things. Disciples of Jesus. You can become a disciple of Jesus at my Father's house. You can. You can join me right here, and I will teach you how to be Jesus' disciple, because I am one. Teach one to be one. That's the goal at my Father's house. You can join me on Facebook or at my Father's house, Joseph McGee. I'm also on YouTube, Mr. Joseph the Dreamer 10, Mr. Joseph the Dreamer 10. You can call me at 318-620-9293. Be blessed if you are his disciple. If you are not his disciple, you will be very disappointed when he appears. And he will appear. The day and the hour has been set by our Father in heaven. Do you want to be Jesus' disciple or not? You decide. I have already decided for myself. And I am doing my best to encourage others to make the right decision here. You won't become a disciple of Jesus without any effort.